Andrew Cuomo gets busted for sexual harassment. And I'm talking about the sexual harassment we all knew about all the way back in March. So we'll talk just a bit about what's going on with that and what that could mean for the rest of the news cycle. In other news, Bill de Blasio announces an actual COVID vaccine passport. So we'll talk a bit about what that means for going to the city of New York and where we go from there. Barack Obama has scaled back his lavish 60th birthday party because, well, he got caught. So we'll talk just a bit about what's going on there. And Lollapalooza hosts 375,000 people. Super spreader event? I guess we'll find out. It's going to be all this and more over on Contemporary. Hey, do you trust the plan yet? I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Good morning, Edheads. Welcome to Contemporary. My name is Jay Edgar, and wow, what a weird news day that we had here today. And as you can see across the top here, we've got quite the assortment of things to talk about here today. We have a number of things to talk about, and I know that you can go and get your news from a number of different places, but you are here this morning as you are every morning, and that is some hot stuff right there. All right. Now that we're done getting rid of the people who think that everybody here is a white supremacist anyway, welcome to Contemporary. My name is Jay Edgar. And we do have to get through some of this stuff here, so let's get down to it. But before we do that, actually head on over there and check out some of my friends who will be joining me in an upcoming big project that we are announcing at the middle of fall, most likely here. And I am talking about The Generational Gap, The Daily Ignoramus, The Breakdown with Birkenhoff, The R-Rated Conservative, and The Freckles and Brit Show. Go check out all those shows because they will all be coming back to our new upcoming project here. We are glad to welcome them. We like all of them a whole lot, and we hope that you will too. So go check out all those programs. They're great people. And once the new project is up, you can come on over there, find them all in one place, and help us support great creators. All right, looking at your finance here, let's switch a couple windows down on the one that you can't see, just to see who's all watching here, who's ready to go. All right, let's get into it here. Starting on the Dow, as usual, the Dow is up 0.8%. 35,116.40. Not quite to a record yet, but we got close to a record here yesterday. Looks like it might be tumbling back down once again, but the news media is going to come out and try to tell you that this is going to be the greatest stock market ever, and it's just going to keep rising, and everything's going to be great. So we will watch where that goes and what happens there. Your Bitcoin is at 38,185.20, holding steady, slightly dropping. Probably, what was it, $100? Less than that? Because I think it was 38,285 yesterday, wasn't it? So 38,185.20 it's a modest drop, but it's still something to watch here, and maybe you can grab a little bit of it while it's still on sale. Looking in at the gas prices around Madison, I've got one station, the Costco in Middleton, showing $2.83. Everybody else showing $2.85, which means that, yes, over the weekend, 6 cents a jump in gas prices. Hopefully it's less where you are, but, you know, I don't have a lot of faith in this admin either, but continue to watch the gas prices as they go. Looking into IBD for the morning, Dow Futures fall, GM slides on profit miss, Paycom flashes buy signal after market rally, Tesla Square finds support. This is from Ed Carson. Dow Jones Futures and S&P 500 Futures fell slightly early Wednesday, while NASDAQ Futures turned slightly lower. GM stock and Paycom software were in focus. The stock market rally tested some short-term support on Tuesday, rebounding for modest gains. Tesla, Square, and Steel Dynamics rebounded from tests of their recent buy points. Meanwhile, Zoom Info Technologies blasted higher on earnings, but then slashed gains. ZI stock continued to weaken overnight on a share offering. Paycom reported better than expected earnings, and the article jumped back up to the top. Paycom reported better than expected earnings after the close. Paycom stock jumped, signaling a move over a key resistance area. General Motors missed on adjusted EPS estimates but beat on revenue and raised its full-year estimates amid a strong pricing. Toyota Motors, Honda Motor reported better than expected quarterly earnings overnight. Though chip shortages remain a concern, several other automakers from Ford Motor to Tesla have reported strong profits from chip woes crimp sales but also boost pricing power. GM stock fell 3% before the opening. After hovering below its 50-day line in a consolidation, TM stock fell just slightly after just breaking out on Tuesday. Holding on to earnings, Honda rose slightly as it moves towards a buy point. Tesla stock is on the IBD leaderboard and Swing Trader. STLD stock is also on Swing Trader. On-year futures, Dow futures fell 0.2% versus fair value. S&P 500 futures lost 0.2%, and NASDAQ 100 futures fell less than 0.1%. Crude oil prices continued to retreat. The 10-year Treasury yield was little changed. And remember, overnight action in Dow futures and elsewhere doesn't necessarily translate into actual trading in the next regular stock market session. So, a couple things moving here. Basically, GM is holding this down. It looks like the futures are going to drop on what GM did, which means that, wow, GM holds a lot more of the market share than we thought that it did. But that's something to watch as we go on. Let's grab one from Fox Business here.
We're off, we're running.
Shut up, autoplay. Shut up, you. S&P 500 captures record. Dow jumps 279 points. From Fox Business, so author given. U.S. stocks staged a broad rally in what was a choppy session early on as investors digested quarterly earnings during what is the season's second busiest week for reports. This results are helping to offset the wrangling in Washington after lawmakers missed the chance to extend the debt ceiling. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rallied over 279 points, or 0.8%, while the S&P 500 rose 0.82%, closing at a fresh record with healthcare, energy, and industrials among the strongest performers. The Nasdaq Composite closed 0.5% higher. Consumer-related companies were in focus as investors take in positive results from athletic giant Under Armour, which raised its full-year outlook after revenue rose 35% to $1.3 billion. With a solid balance sheet and well-managed inventory, we're confident in our ability to drive well through 2021 as we get back on offense and make measured progress to return sustainable, profitable growth over the long term, said Under Armour President and CEO Patrick Frisk. Clorox shares were under pressure as the consumer giant signaled future sales will fall between 2% and 6% as the pandemic rush to load up on wipes and disinfectants normalizes. In energy, BP pulled $2.8 billion in profits, prompting the oil giant to boost its dividend and buyback plan as oil continues to climb. I love how they say oil is continuing to climb as the futures are going downhill quickly. In deal news, PepsiCo is selling a portion of its juice portfolio, which includes Tropicana and Naked, to provide equity firm PAI Partners for $3.3 billion, while retaining a 39% non-controlling interest in a newly formed joint venture. Robinhood also soared past IPO price of $38 a share, despite a rocky debut and without concrete news on Tuesday. So, that's where they go. So there are some of your giants that are going on throughout the day. Look forward and, well, go and check on what's going to be in a buy point and shuffle some stuff around because it's looking like there might be a little bit of fall coming here, but that's not official financial advice. Your financial advisor can do much better than I can with this, so always consult your financial advisor before making any stock or cryptocurrency purchases. And let's get into the big news of the day, starting with CNN. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo sexually harassed multiple women, State Attorney General report says. But you see, didn't we know that back in May, March, February? Didn't we know that all the way back when we started hearing, he threw COVID patients in with grandma? from Tierney Sneed, Sonia Moog, and Christina. I'm sorry, Christina. I'm not even going to try on that last name. Sgueglia. If anybody wants to make a guess in the live chat here, be my guest. I'm not going to try on that one because anything I'm going to do is going to insult poor Christina here. New York Attorney General's investigation into sexual harassment allegations against Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo found that Cuomo sexually harassed multiple women, AG Letitia James announced on Tuesday. The office found that Cuomo harassed current and former state employees as well as a number of women outside of state government, James said, as the official's office released a lengthy report on investigation. James said Tuesday that her investigation found that Cuomo engaged in unwelcome and non-consensual touching and made comments of suggestive sexual nature. James said that the conduct created a hostile work environment for women. Cuomo immediately faced mounting pressure from Democrats, including President Biden, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and New York's 2 U.S. senators to resign. The governor denied the allegation. I want you to know directly from me that I never touched anyone inappropriately or made inappropriate sexual advances, Cuomo said in a speech on Tuesday. Cuomo's behavior is not limited to members of his own staff, but extended to other state employees, including a state trooper on his protective detail, as well as members of the public. The Attorney General's report states Cuomo's conduct violated multiple federal and state laws, James said. We also conclude that the executive chamber's culture, one filled with fear and intimidation, while at the same time normalizing the governor's frequent flirtations and gender-based comments, contributed to the conditions that allowed the sexual harassment to occur and persist. Investigators June Kim and Ann Clark wrote in the report that culture also influenced the improper and inadequate ways in which the executive chamber has responded to allegations of harassment. So, yeah. And once again, we all really knew about this. I looked at this and I said, this is a distraction. They're trying to distract from something else. And I got a couple other things in the news to actually talk about that this may have been distractions for. My most likely guess is it's the vaccine passport thing, but I'm guessing that a lot more of this came out. And really, honestly, what is it like to be Andy Cuomo at this point? What is it like? Think about this for a second. What is it like to be Andy? You are the scapegoat every single time that they need to come back and cover something up or hide something. Andy Cuomo did this. Andy Cuomo did that. You know, when it came down to the COVID response. Look at all these women that are coming forward. And this was America's governor. I mean, this guy was supposed to be the guy who swooped in and saved the presidency. And then we see the killing of grandma during the COVID crisis. And then we don't hear much from the guy until he writes a book, drops a book. And everybody points out the fact that, yeah, he put all these COVID kids into the nursing home with grandma. And then it was the women started coming forward, and the women started coming forward. And then it just kind of went away for a little while. Until it seems that we need to, distract from more stuff about the commie fucking coof. But yes, that was one of the big news stories of yesterday, was the fact that this report finally came out. Now, we've got some video here, incredible moment as Cuomo displays face-touching slideshow. I do it with everyone, black and white, young and old, straight and LGBTQ, powerful people, friends, strangers, people who I meet on the street. I would say people I meet on the subway, but Andy Cuomo hasn't been in a subway since the 70s. Probably before that.
I do it with everyone, black and white, young and old, straight and LGBTQ, powerful people, friends, strangers, people who I meet on the street. I do it with everyone, black and white, young and old, straight and LGBTQ.
This is apparently the source. Oh, that's a 15-minute video. We're not going to watch a 15-minute video off of here. But yeah, I mean, he's going to come out and try to say, yeah, no, it's just because I'm Italian, huh? Hey, that's the reason I'm doing this. What are you, being a racist or something? Come on, man. Hey, I'm going to learn how to say this from Joe Biden, okay? Come on, man. I do this with everybody. Don't worry about it, okay? Otherwise, I'm going to make your life a living hell. I'll give you a knuckle sandwich, huh? Oh boy, Patricia McCloskey is trending. We'll be talking about that probably tomorrow, I'm guessing. Alright, so with that, let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about Politico, because they're moving on this one right now. They are definitely moving on this one. From Politico, New York Democrats prepare to impeach Cuomo. From Bill Mahoney. The Democratic majority in the New York Assembly is preparing to impeach Governor Andy Cuomo if he does not resign, a rapid deterioration of their relationship following Tuesday's devastating allegation that he had sexually harassed 11 women. The outcome became clear after an emergency meeting of legislators on Tuesday afternoon, hours after State Attorney General Tish James, she's Tish, okay, she's not Letitia, issued a damning report chronicling multiple instances of sexual harassment by the governor. The State Assembly's Judiciary Committee has been looking into impeachment since March. After a conference this afternoon to discuss the AG's report concerning sexual harassment allegations against Governor Cuomo, it is abundantly clear to me that the governor has lost the confidence of the Assembly Democratic majority, and he can no longer remain in office, Speaker Carl Heastie said in a statement. Once we receive all relevant documents and evidence from the AG, show me the documents, show me the documents. We will move expeditiously and look to conclude our impeachment investigation as quickly as possible. A lot of people are ready, said Assemblymember Linda Rosenthal of Manhattan. The process is going to wind down, and then I believe you'll see the Assembly voting on articles of impeachment. The Judiciary Committee has pre-planned meeting on Monday to discuss the next steps in its impeachment investigation. Around half of the 107-person Democratic conference called on Cuomo to resign in March, though only a handful supported the disruptive process of immediately holding an impeachment. That changed in dramatic fashion on Tuesday, with dozens of members saying they were ready to go immediately to take whatever votes were needed to end the governor's tenure. It is important to keep focused on the fact that there's a pattern of behavior laid out in the report, which means it can happen every day, said Assemblymember Nilly Rozick of Queens, who had called for Cuomo's resignation in the spring and is now in favor of impeachment. It's dangerous to have that behavior continue in the governor's office. The Assembly needs to act expeditiously. There's great concern about his ability to lead and not carry out retribution against these employees and other people that maybe have not come out yet, said Assemblymember John Rivera of Buffalo. How expeditious that might be remains an open question. The Assembly also had been examining issues such as the governor's handling of nursing homes during the pandemic and the expedited construction of a bridge, and there seems to be at least some appetite for wrapping up those probes before moving forward, but it's clear that much of the conference doesn't want to wait too long. We are in Politico. We have already read from CNN and seen a video from Twitter. And we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 paragraphs in before they mention the nursing homes. Long after the headline, long after the attention-grabbing first paragraph, and long after the third paragraph where people stopped reading. 9 paragraphs in before somebody talks about the handling of the nursing homes and the expedited construction of a bridge. I don't know anything about that. Fanning, you might have to help me out on that one. But that's a scandal I know nothing about. But yeah, nine of them before we can come out and talk about the fact that, yes, he stuck COVID kids into the nursing home with grandma. But they're actually doing this. They're actually going forward and doing something like that. They're actually coming out and saying, okay, it's time to go do something impeachment, which tells me that there's something else that they don't want you to see. While you're watching one hand over here, hand number 2 is over here in the background doing something they don't want you to see. So we will continue to sit back and watch this because I'm sure this one's going to get fire up in the next few weeks. Reading from the New York Post, neighboring Democratic governors call on Cuomo to resign amid sex harass probe report. From Sam Chamberlain. The governors of 4 neighboring states said Tuesday that New York Governor Andy Cuomo should step down after an independent investigation found the three-term Democrat had sexually harassed 11 women, 9 of them current or former state employees. In a terse statement, the New York Governor, Phil Murphy, Connecticut Governor Ned Lamont, Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf, and Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee, all Democrats, said that they were appalled by the findings of the independent investigation by the New York AG. Governor Cuomo should resign from office, they added. The governor has joined a chorus of Democrats, including President Biden, Majority Leader Charles U. Schumer, and New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio, demanding Cuomo step aside following the release of the bombshell report by State Attorney General Letitia James. And I don't want him to resign. I want him to go through the trial at this point. I really do. Because if he resigns, he gets off scot-free off of this. I guarantee you that they don't go back and push any charges. He just quietly walks away, steps away, and says, okay, I made a bunch of money as the governor, and my dad made a bunch of money as the governor, and my brother's on CNN, so I'm going to be living the lavish life for quite a while. I don't have to be in the public spotlight anymore. I don't have to have everybody watching everything I can do, and I can kiss girls and women in the face, no matter how old they are, and the men too. I can do all this here, and I still had a bunch of money. Hey, you know what? It's going to be good. I'll just sit and watch the Yankees or something. No, I want them to come forward off of this. And there's a reason that I do. Because, and I said this yesterday, before I knew that they had actually dropped the AG report. So, one of the things that I did point out yesterday on Twitter was the fact that that they were doing this here, and I said, I didn't find enough credibility in allegations from Cuomo's accusers, or Biden's accusers, or Trump's accusers, or Kavanaugh's accusers, or a number of other people who came forward and accused but never took anything back to trial, never filed a criminal report for any of this. They might have been telling the truth, they might have been lying, but there wasn't enough evidence for me to say one way or the other. But it looks like somebody's actually willing to come forward and put this one to trial. So I got to backtrack my statement. I got to correct on that, and I want to see the impeachment go. Don't resign, because that's the easy way out. If you care about justice at all, Governor Cuomo, take the trial. Let these people tell their story on the stand. Let them have their closure. But I've got this strong, sneaking suspicion that that's not going to happen, especially when the big guy is calling on him to resign. Let's read one from NPR. A little bit of an extension of the last one that we read here. This one, Biden calls on New York Governor Andrew Cuomo to resign after harassment report. This is from Domenico Montanaro. And make sure that you hit that big red donate button, because NPR needs your money to spread their communist ideals across the country. NPR, National Progressive Radio. Let's see what it is that they have to say here. I've got 2 NPR ones today, so we get to make this speech twice. Let's see what they have to say. President Biden called on New York Governor Andrew Cuomo to resign Tuesday after an explosive new report was released by the New York State Attorney General's office on allegations of sexual harassment against the governor. Kamala, what position am I supposed to hold on this? I thought I liked Andy. Huh? Oh, I'm supposed to... Okay. I think he should resign, Biden said of his fellow Democrat. He stopped short of calling for Cuomo's impeachment and removal by the New York State Assembly, or whether he should be prosecuted. The report detailed multiple allegations of sexual harassment, that the Cuomo administration was a hostile work environment, and that Cuomo violated multiple federal and state laws, though the office is not pursuing a criminal investigation. Asked if he condones Cuomo's use of a photo of him that the governor is using to defend himself, Biden said, "Look, I'm not going to flashback this. I'm sure that there were some embraces that were totally innocent, and some sniffs too, because sometimes that little sniff it's totally innocent, man. And come on, man. And I just like to be affectionate, man. But apparently the AG decided that there's some that weren't." Biden, who said that he had not spoken with Cuomo on Tuesday, said that he had not read the report in detail because that he only knows the end result. In March, Biden said if the state AG's investigation confirmed the allegations against Cuomo that, yes, he should resign. I think he'll end up prosecuted too. Biden has had a long friendship with Cuomo dating back to the years. His father, Mario Cuomo, was the governor of New York. The elder Cuomo is revered in New York and became a national figure, especially with his 1984 Democratic National Convention speech, laying out the direction for the party while it was in the political wilderness during the Reagan years. Cuomo continues to deny he did anything appropriate, and in a taped video released Tuesday, he defended himself, speaking directly to New York voters. Politics and bias are woven throughout all this, okay? Cuomo said. One would have to be naive to think otherwise, and New Yorkers are not naive. Cuomo is up for re-election for a fourth term next year, and to this point, despite pressure from many leaders within his own party, he has refused to step aside and said that he will run again. Good. On Tuesday afternoon, Speaker Pelosi also called on Cuomo to resign. She called the investigation comprehensive and praised the women who came forward to speak their truth. Not the truth, their truth. So, a lot of stuff going on with this. And Biden, of course, wait, I thought this guy was my friend. I just had golf with his dad last week. Sir, that was 30 years ago. No, it wasn't, man. Come on. I remember that. Where are my pants? All right, let's grab another one from the New York Post because, of course, de Blasio has to get in on this as well. And we might have to find out why in another article. De Blasio says scandal-scarred Cuomo is past the point of no return. Mayor Bill de Blasio on Tuesday said the scandal-rocked Governor Andy Cuomo is past the point of no return on the heels of a blistering investigative report that determined the governor sexually harassed or groped nearly a dozen women. De Blasio's remarks came just hours after New York Attorney General, I'm sorry, I might be foreshadowing here by calling Letitia James the governor. She has ambitions. Published the explosive findings, which forced key Democratic leaders across the Empire State and top national figures, including President Biden, to demand Cuomo's resignation. An assault on women, any assault on a woman, he should be facing criminal charges, de Blasio, a longtime opponent of Cuomo, said on CNN. On top of that, if you use your power and position to cover up the assault, that sounds criminal to me. His owner was equally dismissive of Cuomo's full-throated counterattack against the 165-page report issued by James and aired a presentation with photos and montages showing the governor kissing and hugging people. Yeah, see, that's not the road that I would have gone down if it was me. If I was sitting here, and I don't really like touching a lot of people, so it's almost impossible that I would be in this situation to begin with. But say it did, say it happened, and I was in there. I wouldn't put out a video showing me doing the exact same thing I'm being accused of by Letitia James, no matter what kind of a pattern I think it's going to put out there. But yes, de Blasio's got to get in on this too. But part of why de Blasio's got to get in on it is this here. This, I think, is one of the key parts of distraction they're trying to distract from here. From CBS News, breaking New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio announces first-in-the-nation policy requiring the Pinko-Pox vaccination for indoor activities like restaurants, fitness, and entertainment. It will be phased in through August, and enforcement officially begins September 13th. Let's watch the video.
So today I announce a new approach, which we're calling the Key to NYC Pass. The key to New York City. When you hear those words, I want you to imagine the notion that because someone's vaccinated, they can do all the amazing things that are available in this city. This is a miraculous place, literally full of wonders. And if you're vaccinated, all that's going to open up to you. You'll have the key. You can open the door. But if you're unvaccinated, unfortunately, you will not be able to participate in many things. That's the point we're trying to get across. It's time for people to see vaccination as literally necessary to living a good and full and healthy life.
Okay, so that full stop right there, that is some eugenic fucking bullshit right there. Yeah, you gotta put this put this into your body, otherwise you can't live a normal life, and we will relegate you out to second-class citizenship if you don't.
Key to NYC Pass will be a first-in-the-nation approach. It will require vaccination for workers and customers in indoor dining, in indoor fitness facilities, indoor entertainment facilities. This is going to be a requirement. The only way to patronize these establishments indoors will be if you're vaccinated, at least one dose. The same for folks in terms of work. They'll need at least one dose. This is crucial because we know that this will encourage a lot more vaccination. We've seen it already. We've seen the impact of the mandate we've put in place for city workers already starting to move people to vaccination. We've obviously seen the positive impact of incentive as well. The goal here is to convince everyone that this is the time. If we're going to stop the Delta variant, the time is now, and that means getting vaccinated right now. This new policy will be phased in over the coming weeks. So we've been working with the business community.
So I have questions now, and I know a few people that have had the vaccine, and I mean, usually I'll make the joke of, hey, how's your cell phone reception? And I'm not one of the people out there that actually believes that this is a 5G thing. I know that there are people that I know who I'm friends with that believe that that's what they're doing. I've heard somebody in a deep Northeast accent, and I'm not going to name names, but I'm pretty sure you guys all know who've said that, they find out that the stuff in this vaccine that, if they put it under a certain frequency, then it sits here and fries you. Fries you. So they turn on the fucking 5G, and then you're all fried, and then China comes in and takes over. And while I don't believe that's true, as hard as they're pushing this thing, I do have questions about it. But, I mean, honestly, what does this do for tourism for New York City on top of it? There are other states out there, and there are other people that believe different things than going into New York. Now, myself, I would have a hard time going into the city of New York no matter what. I don't like cities. That's the big part of it. I've seen the aerial shots. I've seen, what they show on Law & Order SVU. I've seen what they show on Mr. Robot. That just looks like a place that I don't want to be. No offense to anybody that lives there. And then on top of it, the baseball rivalry that came after I moved into Massachusetts. On top of it, that's a part of it too. But just seeing some of the stuff here, that really looks like a place that it's not for me. But other people like to do tourism. Other people like to go to the city. Other people from Georgia, from Virginia, from Wyoming, from Minnesota, even from here in Wisconsin or neighboring Illinois. They like to go to the city, and, a lot of them are probably going to go out and get the jab. But they like to go out to the city. They dream of going and taking it in a play on Broadway. Actually, that was one of the few sacrifices I probably would have made to go to the city. See the World Trade Center and to go see something on Broadway. I do love musical theater. But not if they're going to do shit like this. No, absolutely not. I've heard that some of the best restaurants in the world are in New York City. I'm a big foodie. No plans in the future to go and partake in one of them. I can live my life without going into New York City. And a lot of people can. And I really think that's something that de Blasio, even though he's probably on his way out too, I think that's something that de Blasio needs to keep in mind as well, is there are a lot of people in this country who would have loved to come in and spend money in New York City on a vacation. Why? Well, that's between the city and them. I'm not going to judge, because people have different views than me. But there are a lot of people in this country that want to go and spend money in New York City. And you're really alienating a large portion of them. And they can, like me, even though it's a nice dream to go in and take in a play on Broadway, they can live without New York City.
getting input. We're going to do more over the next few weeks. The final details of the policy will be announced and implemented in the week of August 16th. So over the next couple of weeks, getting more feedback, finalizing the policy, publishing it, and beginning to implement it. We'll then spend most of a month educating people, going out to businesses, receiving calls from businesses, answering questions and concerns, making sure everyone understands the new approach. And then on September 13th, during that week, we'll begin inspections and enforcement. So we want to give...
Are you hiding your unvaccinated? Are they in the attic? Are they in the floorboards? Are they in the basement? You shall show me your unvaccinated. All right. Reading from CNBC, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio will mandate COVID vaccines for certain indoor activities. From Robert Towie. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio mandated inoculations for a range of indoor venues at a news conference Tuesday morning requiring proof of COVID vaccinations from employees and customers of indoor eateries, gyms, and entertainment centers. The order goes into effect on August 16th. With full enforcement beginning September 13th, de Blasio said the mandate, known as the Key to New York City Pass, would encourage increased immunizations to combat the spread of the Delta coronavirus variant. When you hear those words, I want you to imagine the notion that because someone's vaccinated, they can do all the amazing things that are available to the city, de Blasio said of the Key to New York City Pass. De Blasio added the city would be inspecting businesses for compliance in mid-September. All affected customers and workers can either provide their vaccination cards or upload their proof of vaccination to the Excelsior Pass application. New York City is thought to be the first in the nation to implement such a mandate. President Biden responded affirmatively when asked at a press conference on Tuesday if he believed other cities should follow suit, but stakeholders across the food industry have raised concerns about how the program will work. I'm sure they fucking have. Shortly after de Blasio's press conference, the National Restaurant Association expressed support for increased vaccinations, but the organization, which says it represents almost 500,000 food service establishments, said the mandate would be burdensome to enforce and result in significant changes for restaurants moving forward. Checking vaccination status isn't like IDing a customer before serving them a drink. Staff received training on how to do that, Larry Lynch, the group's senior vice president of science and industry, said in a statement. Now, without training, our staff members are expected to check the vaccine status for every customer wanting to eat inside their establishment. Tillman Fertitta, the billionaire chairman and CEO of Landry's, which operates several restaurants in New York City, echoed Lynch's statement in an interview Tuesday with CNBC's Power Lunch. The Houston Rockets owner and supporter of former President Trump endorsed the use of vaccines, but he said he wanted to prevent his restaurants from being the vaccination police for customers. But see, that's what they really want, is to be the vaccination police and come out and say, no, yes, your papers, please. Come in. And a couple of the memes, I neglected to put them up in here, but there were a couple memes that I actually wanted to put up in here with this so you guys could see as well, that really hit the nail on the head for this particular situation. Like this one here. The table for four, of course. Your papers, please. And as I alluded to with the other one here, you're hiding the unvaccinated people under the floorboards, aren't you? Aren't you? Answer me. Where are you unvaccinated? So that's some scary shit, dude. It really is. And yeah, I'm sure that the Restaurant Association is going to push back because, yes, now they have to go back and train employees to do all this, as they said, on the floor, on the fly. No, go and check their backs. And for especially like a McDonald's. There's a good example of that because, I mean, in this country, McDonald's doesn't serve beer. In Germany, I hear they do. But in this country, they don't serve beer or any alcohol anywhere. So there would be no reason for that pimple-faced 15-year-old kid who's sitting at the counter with a blank look on his face to say, you got your vaccine card, man? There's no reason for that because he's never had to do that with an ID or anything else. Now, yeah, okay, the guys in the bar, I could see that because, you know, they've got the ID scanner. I'm sure they've got the passport scanner too. They just know, okay, I have to click the button a second time. Hey, here's your ID, here's your vaccine passport. Those guys will be fine because they've done this before. But this is slipping into some scary directions here. And I know people get laughed at a lot for saying the mark of the beast, but really, honestly, if you don't want people to start saying the mark of the beast, stop doing shit that resembles the mark of the fucking beast. And I don't think this is the mark of the beast, but it sure as fuck looks like it. That's what we have to say with that. Let's grab one from the Daily Wire. There is still some balls in punk, by the way. Offspring drummer writes a viral post opposing vaccine mandates after band parts ways with him over medical inability to get the shot. From Megan Basham. F. Dude, that dude was legendary. Some of the best drumming that we heard in mainstream punk came from that dude. Of course, there was better of it in underground punk, but some of the best drumming we heard in mainstream punk came from this dude. You gotta keep them separated indeed. On Monday, Offspring drummer Pete Parada announced on Twitter that he won't be joining the band for its upcoming tour. His explanation, which centered on his medical inability to receive a COVID vaccine, quickly went viral. In the thread, the 48-year-old explained that he has Guillain-Barré syndrome, a rare immune disorder in which a person's immune system attacks their nerves. Due to his pre-existing condition, Parada has been counseled not to receive a coronavirus vaccine. Given my personal medical history and the side effect profile of these jabs, he said, my doctor has advised me not to get the shot at this time. Parada went on to reveal that he isn't able to comply with what is increasingly becoming an industry mandate. His band, which he had been a member of for 14 years, decided that he was unsafe to be around and fired him. He shared that he previously contracted COVID and thus may have natural immunity. I caught the virus over a year ago. It was mild for me, he said, so I am confident I'd be able to handle it again. I'm not so certain I'd survive another post-vaccination round of Guillain-Barré syndrome, which dates back to my childhood and has evolved to be progressively worse over my lifetime. Unfortunately for me and my family, who was hoping to keep me around a bit longer, the risks far outweigh the benefits. Parada then offered encouragement to others who may be feeling shunned or isolated due to their inability to get the vaccine. I also want to share my story so that anyone else experiencing the agony and isolation of getting left behind right now knows they're not entirely alone, he said, later adding, while my reason for not getting this jab is medical, I want to make sure that I'm not carving out a space that's only big enough for me. I need to state unequivocally that I support informed consent, which necessitates choice unburdened by coercion. Based. The veteran rocker explained this is why he opposes vaccine mandates and is concerned over government authoritarianism when it comes to private medical decisions. I do not find it ethical or wise to allow those with the most power, government, corporations, organizations, and employers, to dictate medical procedures to those with the least power. There are countless folks like me for whom these shots carry a greater risk than the virus. Most of us don't publicly share a private decision we made in careful consideration with our doctors. We know it's not an easy conversation to unfold. It looks like half the population is having a shockingly different reaction to these jabs than was expected. It's probably because their life experience have actually been shockingly different, and their reasons range from conscientious risk-benefit analysis to the financial inability to take time off work, lack of health care in the event of a potential side effect, to an understandable distrust in a system that has never prioritized the health or well-being of their communities. I hope we can learn to make room for all these perspectives and fears that are happening currently. Let's avoid the unfortunate tendency to dominate, dehumanize, and shout down at each other. The hesitant population is not a monolithic group. All voices deserve to be heard. Based. Parada finished by thanking his fans for understanding why they won't be seeing him on tour at upcoming shows. I deeply appreciate your support as my family, and I find a new way forward, he said, concluding, sending love to everyone who's been impacted by this pandemic in all the ways lives have been lost and altered. Most responses on Twitter supported Parada and expressed displeasure towards the other members of The Offspring for their decision to kick him out. Mocked one Twitter user, damn, so that's rock and roll, following the establishment line, saying yes to the man and leaving your crew behind. So yeah, that's super based right there. And honestly, to come out and talk about that in the industry that's putting the pressure on him to go and get the vaccine, even though it might not be healthy for him, to come out and say, hey, some people are just doing this because the risks aren't, or the benefits aren't there against the risks that they have. And I'm going to say the same thing I said yesterday. If you want to get this thing, your body, your choice. I'll take you to your appointment if you want to. Just don't make me come in with you. That's all that I have to say about that. I will take you right there if you think that this is the most beneficial thing to you. No judgment. Your body, your choice. But leave my body out of it. So that's what we're seeing from that. Let's shift gears here, actually. Let's start talking about the Capitol riots. From WUSA 9 CBS, fourth officer who responded to the U.S. Capitol on January 6th dies by suicide. From Mike Valerio and Jordan Fisher. 4 law enforcement officers who respond to the Capitol insurrection have now died by suicide, a sobering toll, which doubled on Monday after Metropolitan Police confirmed 2 of the department's officers who responded on January 6th recently took their own lives. Like Jeffrey Epstein. Officer Kyle DeFreitag served in the city's 5th District and was at the Capitol to enforce curfew violations. Metro Police confirmed Chief Robert J. Conti III sent a message to police force notifying personnel of DeFreitag's death last month. I am writing to share tragic news that Officer Kyle DeFreitag of the 5th District was found deceased last evening with 2 gunshots to the back of his head. Hashida, who joined the department in May of 2003, was most recently assigned to the department's emergency response team. Leslie Foster says sobering, feeling compelled to share a resource for others who may be in need of support. This may be triggering for some. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 800-273-8255. There is always somebody available 24/7, and I'm going to add to what she had to say with this. Also, on top of that, if you need somebody to talk to or you need resources, reach out to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. They are a great organization, and I was so proud to be able to work with them last April. And if you're feeling something, absolutely reach out to somebody. Reach out to me on Twitter. You can find the links in the description below if you're over on the YouTube side. But reach out. That's one of my big goals, is to try to prevent actual suicide from happening. But I am a little wary to call this an actual suicide. According to his obituary, posted by the Mountcastle Church Funeral Home in Dale City, Virginia, Hashida would have been 44 this Thursday. In January, U.S. Capitol Police announced 51-year-old officer Howard Liebengood took his own life. Liebengood was a 15-year veteran of the USCP and son of the former Senate Surgeon-at-Arms, Howard Liebengood Sr. Weeks later, a second officer who responded to the Capitol, MPD officer Jeffrey Smith, died by suicide. Smith's death was announced by the Chief Conti while addressing a closed session of the House Appropriations Committee. Speaker Pelosi released a statement Monday afternoon calling Hashida a hero who risked his life for our very democracy. Officer Hashida was a hero who risked his life to save our capital, the congressional community, and our very democracy. All Americans are indebted to him for his great valor and patriotism on January 6th and throughout his selfless service. May Officer Hashida's life be an inspiration to all to protect our country and democracy, and may it be a comfort to Officer Hashida's family that so many mourn their loss and pray for them in this sad time. So, there's a lot of stuff to talk about with this, and really honestly, there's a lot of fear that I have coming into this too. This is not something that's normal. And Matt Walsh, for as much as I don't care for him, pointed that out in his tweet here. John Cardillo says, no matter how you slice it, 4 suicides of 6 cops in 6 months is bizarre. It's not PTSD. No cop is going to off himself because of one kind of busy, but grossly overhyped day on the job. There is something else going on here. To which Walsh quote tweets out, Yes, it's definitely bizarre. Cops were caught up in BLM rioting across the country for months on end, and there was never any suicide epidemic like this. So, yeah, I mean, I have got questions. Now, Christina Bob points out the fact that Capitol Police open doors for protesters. They stand aside and invite them inside. And there's a lot of other stuff that goes along with that, too. And having experienced suicidal thoughts in my life, I understand the fact that sometimes it does come right back up out of nowhere. But looking seriously into this, looking seriously into going on here, 4 officers in a situation where people were going to start to be questioned, in a situation where McCarthy's trying to bring up his own commission into this and is going to be questioning very different people than the carefully selected police officers that Nancy Pelosi is parading out onto the screen. I have a lot of questions, and I do have to wonder if this isn't the old Arkansas. If this isn't the situation where some people were going to come out and testify in a way that the establishment didn't like, and they had to be removed from society. I don't trust a word of this at this point. I really don't. I have a lot of questions. But there are questions that I don't think are going to be answered. Well, let's grab another one here from NPR for you guys. The Biden admin issues a new eviction moratorium after a federal ban lapsed. This is from Barbara Sprunt. And remember, hit that red button, guys, because NPR needs your money. They need your money to end communist ideals across the country. National Progressive Radio. Give us your money. I had one on the Instagram side here that's also interesting too. It's possible their families were threatened. Oh, let me back away from the microphone before I say that. Oof. Sorry for your ears, you guys. Rip your ears. I can't hit the wave button either. Okay, I'm waving at you. Might be wrong. It is possible their families were threatened if they didn't testify a certain way, and they either took themselves out or were helped. So yeah, that's another way to go with that too. And I mean, a lot of people do a lot of things for their families. All right, let's see what NPR's got to say on this one here. Days after a national eviction moratorium expired, the Biden admin on Tuesday issued a new, more limited freeze that remains in effect through October 3rd. Like the previous order, the 2-month moratorium issued Tuesday comes from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The new ban on evictions covers parts of the United States that are experiencing what the CDC calls a substantial and high spread of the coronavirus. As of Tuesday afternoon, that's the vast majority of the U.S. counties. The order, which cites the high rise of the Delta variant, says, without this order, evictions in these higher transmission areas would likely exacerbate the increase in cases. Where we are right now with such high disease rates, we felt a new tailored order was needed to make sure that working Americans who were at risk of eviction could be stably housed during this really tenuous, challenging period of time, the CDC's director, Rochelle Walensky, told NPR's All Things Considered. The federal ban expired Saturday night, affecting millions of Americans who had potential to be removed from their homes if they'd fallen behind on rent. Since that moratorium's expiration, progressives have pressured the Biden admin to extend the pause on evictions. The admin previously said it didn't have the legal authority to issue such a measure. The new order could face legal challenges. They don't, and it will. Just so everybody knows. They don't have the authority to do this. Gene Sperling, who oversees the White House rollout of the COVID-19 relief, told reporters on Monday that Biden had quadruple checked whether they had the legal grounds to extend the moratorium unilaterally, but said ultimately his hands were tied by a Supreme Court ruling that blocked the CDC from extending its past moratorium beyond the end of July. A last-minute effort by Congress to extend the ban failed. Does anybody smell a challenge at this point? Because that's what I'm seeing off of this. It's not the fact that they're coming out and saying, "Oh, no, we suddenly found the authority to do so." It sounds to me more like "Hey, Supreme Court, come and get me, and we're going to use that for advertisements in the upcoming midterms. Come on, we're going to make you really unpopular. You can't get me. You can't get me." Because then that's the ad fodder that they need to go to try to win back the Senate with enough of a majority that they can pass the filibuster and pack the fucking Supreme Court. Get rid of or drown out those evil Trump justices. Oh my God. So that's definitely something to watch as we're coming into this. And that's what I think it is. I don't think that this is... the Biden admin doesn't care enough about you to make sure that you're not kicked out of your home. Their big business buddies are going to look at this and say, what the fuck, I'm not getting rent here. Do something about this. But we still come in here knowing full well that pack the Supreme Court is still on the table because evil Donald Trumpler got 3 justices. Oh my God. He might be able to use the courts to win next time. And that's exactly what we're going to see from this. Let's grab another one here. CDC announces new eviction ban despite Supreme Court threat. Let's just look at a little bit of this one here. We're not going to go too deep into this because it's a lot of the same information that came from National Progressive Radio, from Katie O'Donnell, Laura Barone Lopez, and Heather Cagle. The Biden admin on Tuesday announced a new targeted federal eviction ban to replace the one that expired over the weekend, setting up a potential clash with the Supreme Court. The CDC new ban will apply to counties experiencing substantial and high levels of community transmission, levels of COVID-19, and will last until October 3rd, the agency said. So I've got a question, because this only targets certain communities. Now, if these certain counties came out and did their own, thing and just came out and said, oh, well, no, this is something that we need to deal with on a local level, this probably wouldn't be able to be challenged as much. But because this is coming off the federal government and they're only targeting certain communities, we have some equal protection under the law challenges that are going to happen too. And this, I mean, if the progressives get their way, this is going to become a full-on federal mandate once again. And then once again, it's going to be, Supreme Court, come get me. Because you can't just target certain communities and say, okay, you have an eviction ban, but you don't. Not from the federal government. That's why federalism is a thing. President Biden had earlier on Tuesday teased the announcement to reporters while cautioning that any call for the moratorium based on the Supreme Court's recent decisions is likely to face obstacles. The announcement comes after days-long standoff with Congress in which Pelosi and other top Democrats, along with progressives, led by Cori Bush of Missouri, waged an intense public campaign to goad the White House into action. And yes, we saw some of that too, including the fact that, by the way, Senator Schumer comes out and congratulates Cori Bush for this. Let's watch the video.
Hey, you are great. You did it. One person really. Woo! Congratulations. I'm so proud and happy.
They're walking to the steps.
Boy, oh boy.
Sorry, I might be wrong. You can't see the video on this. Now there's AOC Biscuit right there. And Charles U. Schumer. It's me, Schumer. You did this. You slept on the Capitol steps.
That is my expert. He thinks it covers almost everybody.
Go straight this way. Straight back this way. Almost like 90. Straight back this way. We're going.
So yes, they're placing this all on the shoulders of a BLM activist who now for whatever reason, I'm going to talk like Biden and trip over my words, man. Who is for whatever reason in Congress right now. So that's what we see. All right, let's keep going here. I got another tweet here. Just because of progressive buzzwords and everything, let's watch this video here. Warnock on voter suppression. Well, let's just listen. And then I'll paraphrase it back for the Instagram side.
Here we are in 2021, and they're trying to nullify our votes after our votes are cast all across this country. We know what this is. This is the Delta variant of Jim Crow voting laws. And the only vaccination is federal legislation. And so you keep standing up.
This is the Delta variant of Jim Crow voting laws, and the only vaccination is federal legislation. It's like they took progressive buzzwords and put them into a sentence generator and says, here, take all these buzzwords here and make a sentence out of them. Crank the generator. Oh, we have this sentence. All right, let's grab another one here from Fox Business. Bipartisan infrastructure bill includes $1 billion for commission run by Manchin's wife. Interesting. From Megan Henney. Buried in the 2,702-page bipartisan infrastructure plan that senators could pass as soon as this week is $1 billion in funding for a commission that is run by the wife of Senator Joe Manchin, one of the key Democratic negotiators. The Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act would allocate $1 billion for the Appalachian Regional Commission, an economic development partnership agency between the government and 13 states in the Appalachian region that's co-chaired by Gail Connolly Manchin. President Biden tapped Gail Manchin for the role in March, and she was unanimously confirmed by the Senate 1 month later. The proposed legislation envisions spending $1 billion over the course of 5 years in order to fund the Partnerships for Opportunity and Workforce and the Economic Revitalization Initiative, a program that provides grants to communities affected by coal-related job losses. Biden initially proposed the funding increase as part of his $4 trillion Build Back Better economic agenda. In a May statement, Gail Manchin said the $1 billion, which will roughly double the Commission's current funding level, will allow it to be more adequately met by the overwhelming needs of communities impacted by job losses resulting from the decline of the coal industry. These grants will be instrumental to the long-term diversification and economic growth in Appalachia. Or it'll line somebody's pocket to say, hey, your wife is getting all this money here, you should vote this certain way on the other bill, the reconciliation. Come on, Joe. We'll keep putting zeros here until you say it's enough. Come on. Before joining the commission, Gail Manchin had years of experience in the community development projects, including working as an educator and director of Fairmont State University's Community Service Program. She also served as West Virginia's Secretary of Education and the Arts under Republican Governor Jim Justice. Her husband, Joe Manchin, a moderate Democrat who this year emerged as one of the most powerful members of the 50-50 Senate, helped craft the $1 trillion bill along a group of 20 bipartisan lawmakers. His office did not immediately respond to a Fox Business request for comment. Big fucking shocker there. Though he previously said his wife will bring the experience and skills to successfully lead the commission. Big fucking shocker there. The infrastructure bill includes about $550 billion in new funding for roads, bridges, rail, transit, water, and other traditional infrastructure programs. It will be paid for by repurposing unspent coronavirus relief funds, along with recoupling fraudulently paid unemployment money returned by states that prematurely ended the federal $300 a week benefit, targeted corporation user fees, strengthened tax enforcement for cryptocurrencies, and economic growth created by the investment. And inflation. Also inflation. They're not going to tell you about the inflation, but also inflation. So that's interesting. All right, let's grab one from Axios. Tyson Foods mandates COVID vaccines for all U.S. employees. From Aaron Doherty. Tyson Foods will require all of its employees in the U.S. to be fully vaccinated against the pinko fucking pox, the company said on Tuesday. The move makes Tyson Foods the largest U.S. food company, with 139,000 team members to require vaccination among all its employees. To date, less than half of all U.S. Tyson Foods employees, about 56,000, have been vaccinated. All employees working in Tyson Foods' U.S. office locations must be vaccinated by October 1st. All of the team members have until November 1st to get the vaccine. Can you really afford the hit in the workforce to that? No, I actually have this question here. Can you actually afford a hit to the workforce like that? To lose half of your workforce because you want to go and mandate this. Now, if you can, if you have gone through and made the determination, I mean, everybody else in the world has a for hire sign out there. If you can fire fully half of your workforce and have that be the PR that's out there, well then congratulations. I'm never going to buy your product again. But if you can put half of your workforce out on the street to virtue signal, then I never have to eat Tyson chicken again. I don't even eat Tyson chicken. But I never have to again. This, I'm not going to say a boycott, but as as I've said numerous times on this channel, I will come out and say the reason why I won't go and shop at place A or place B, or I won't eat Burger King, is because I know what their politics are on their sleeve. And I'm sure, like, if I go to Kohl's, they stand against me politically, but I don't know that. Because they haven't told me that. This is worth adding Tyson chicken to my list of places that I will, products I will not purchase, if that's what they're willing to do. All employees working in Tyson Foods U.S. offices must be vaccinated by October 1st. All of the team members have until November 1st to get the vaccine. Tyson will also provide $200 to fully vaccinated frontline team members. On-site vaccination events will be scheduled for employees, and the company will work with local health departments and healthcare providers to increase vaccine access, the company said. There is access. You're not going... We're not in a situation where you can't get it, where there's no access. It's there if you want it. They're jabbing you in the arm at fucking McDonald's, dude. Exceptions to the vaccination mandate will be granted to employees seeking medical or religious accommodation, the company added. We did not take this decision lightly. We have spent months encouraging our team members to get vaccinated. Today, under half of our team members are, Tyson President and CEO Donnie King wrote in a memo to staff. We take this step today because nothing is more important than our team members' health and safety, and we thank them for the work that they do every day and help us to feed this country and our world. The meatpacking industry has been hit hard by the pandemic, with many criticizing the companies, including Tyson Foods, for not adequately protecting their workforce. Tyson was forced to close doors at meat processing plants early in the pandemic due to coronavirus outbreaks. The outbreaks at Tyson and other meatpacking plants strained supply chains across the U.S. So that's what Axios has to say about this. Let's briefly look in with CNN about this, because they want to tell you why this is important. And this is most likely an op-ed too. They just don't mark it as an op-ed. From Nathaniel Meyersohn. Meat producer Tyson Foods' announcement Tuesday that it will require all of its workers to be fully vaccinated against the pinko fucking pox by November 1st is hardly the norm when it comes to vaccine rules for frontline employees. Most company mandates have so far been for corporate workers. It points to the divide that's emerging in the U.S. workforce. Large employers from tech companies such as Google and Facebook to banks like Morgan Stanley and Jefferies are implementing vaccine requirements for workers in office jobs. But employees in industries like retail, restaurants, and manufacturing, who are most exposed to coworkers and customers in their day-to-day, are largely under no such mandates. Because a lot of the companies that hire in these kinds of jobs know that they're not going to get a workforce if they restrict it to only the vaccinated. This is not hard. And that could add to the challenges in curbing the virus's spread, with the Delta variant surging across the U.S. Tyson, whose vaccine requirements are subject to negotiations with meatpacking plants represented by unions, said only half of its workforce has been vaccinated so far. Perhaps the best illustration of the divide is Walmart. The company, which is the largest private employer in the U.S., said last Friday that all of its U.S.-based corporate employees must be vaccinated by October 4th, along with regional managers. However, Walmart isn't requiring all of its more than 1.6 million U.S. workers to get vaccinated. The company is only encouraging those in-store and warehouse workers to get vaccinated by offering a $150 bonus, double the previous amount that it offered. Right, because once again, you know full well that if you try to make this a mandatory thing, you're already struggling to find workers here, and if you lose, in Walmart's case, I bet you they could lose 3/4 of their workforce if they went out and did this mandate. At a time where it's still more profitable to stay at home and collect your unemployment than to go to work. But apparently Tyson is the first one of its kind to do so. And yes, like I said, this might be worth not ever buying Tyson chicken again. And, once again, I mean, that's no big loss to me because I don't really buy it anyway. Banquet's a better chicken on top of it, but, every once in a while, you'd get the Tyson Anytizers. You'd get the bag of those, you throw them in the oven, throw them on a little bit of Alfredo pasta, and hey, bada boom, you got yourself a little bit of dinner. And, right now with this, no, I can't do that. I can't. From the Daily Wire, watch Biden answers questions about letting untested migrants into the U.S. We're probably going to be taking a lot of these jobs, by the way. President Biden responded Tuesday to a question about the influx of illegal immigrants pouring over the border without being tested for the pinko fucking pox. Fox News reporter Peter Doocy asked Biden about the amount of migrants coming into the country as the administration focuses on controlling the spread of the new Delta variant of the coronavirus. You just said there's no wall high enough and no ocean wide enough to protect us from the virus. So what is the thinking behind letting untested and unvaccinated migrants cross the southern border into U.S. cities in a record number? Asked Doocy. Apparently I can watch this. Yes, so let's watch this from the Daily Caller.
Policy.
Mr. President, I have a question about something that you just said.
I'm sure you do.
Thank you.
I'm sure you do. What a condescending prick. If I didn't know his brain was Swiss cheese already, I'd question it at this point.
You just said there's no wall high enough and no ocean wide enough to protect us from the virus. So what is the thinking behind letting untested and unvaccinated migrants cross the southern border into U.S. cities in record numbers?
There is, what we're doing, we have not withdrawn the order that is sometimes critical or criticized, saying that unvaccinated people should go back across the border. But unaccompanied children is a different story, because that's the most humane thing to do, is to test them and to treat them and not send them back alone.
A follow-up would be
Mr.
President. So, yeah, that's what they see off of that. And really, honestly, yeah, you test them and realize how many people are coming across here and then just getting released back into the country. What do you think the news media is going to do with that? How do you think they spin it to make sure that doesn't hit the front of the fucking news media? All right, let's grab one from the New York Times, a former newspaper. To fight vaccine lies, authorities recruit an influencer army. The White House has teamed up with TikTok stars, while some states are paying local micro-influencers for pro-vaccine campaigns. All right, where's my fucking money? Because I just said that if you want to get the vaccine, get the vaccine. I'm not going to get it, but I will take you to your appointment if you want to get it. Your body, your choice. Where's my money, government? Come on. Pay me, fucker. This is from Taylor Lorenz. Ellie Zeiler, 17, a TikTok creator with over 10 million followers, received an email in June from The Village Marketing, an influencer marketing agency. It said it was reaching out on behalf of another party, the White House. Would Miss Zeiler, a high school senior who usually posts short fashion and lifestyle videos, be willing? The agency wondered to participate in the White House-backed campaign to encourage her audience to get vaccinated against the coronavirus. There is a massive need to grow awareness within the 12 to 18 age range, Village Marketing wrote to Ms. Zeiler's business email. We're moving fast and only have a few available slots to fill, so please let us know ASAP. Ms. Seiler quickly agreed, joining a broad personality-driven campaign to confront an increasingly urgent challenge in the fight against the pandemic. Vaccinated the useful masses, who have the lowest inoculation rates of any eligible age group in the U.S. Fewer than half of all Americans age 18 to 39 are fully vaccinated, compared with more than two-thirds of those over 50, according to the CDC, and about 58% of those aged 12 to 17 have yet to receive the shot at all. Well, that's because they need parental consent. Just like anything else. Just like a hormone change. Just like chopping the wee-wee off. Just like chopping the boobs off. Just like going on a fucking field trip. You need a parent's permission to make these decisions. Because you are a minor. To reach these young people, the White House has enlisted an eclectic army of more than 50 Twitch streamers, YouTubers, TikTokers, and the 18-year-old pop star Olivia Rodrigo, all of them with enormous online audiences. State and local governments have begun similar campaigns, in some cases paying local micro-influencers, those with 5,000 to 100,000 followers, up to $1,000 a month to promote COVID-19 vaccines to their fans. $1,000 fucking a month. Seriously. Where's the money coming from? Dude, fuck you. You don't have the money to do this. The efforts are in part a counterattack against the rising tide of vaccine misinformation that has flooded the internet, where anti-vaccine activists can be so vociferous that some young creators say they've chosen to remain silent on vaccines to avoid a politicized backlash. The anti-vaccine side of the internet is still set all this vaccine news, said Samir Mizrahi, the administrator of several meme pages such as Kale Salad, which has nearly 4 million followers on Instagram and posts viral videos and other content. We're posting about J-Lo and Ben Affleck. Renee DeResta, a researcher who studies misinformation at the... What? There is a researcher whose sole job is to study misinformation. A propaganda researcher. That exists at Stanford. What the fuck is this world? Really, seriously. Oh my God. What is this world? I can't with this article anymore. $1,000 a month to say, hey, go get the vaccine, deny your parents and go get the vaccine, hey. On money that they don't fucking have. And there is a researcher who researches misinformation at Stanford. What the fuck is this world? Let's keep going. From the New York Post. Obama reportedly scales back 60th birthday party due to Delta surge. From Jaren Steinbuch. Former President Barack Obama has canceled his controversial 60th birthday mega bash in Martha's Vineyard, citing the spread of the coronavirus Delta variant. No, he got fucking caught, is what actually happened. It's not that he came out and said, you know what, I'm turning 60, and I want everybody to be there, because then that's all going to be, it's all going to be about me. And that's what it is. It's always all about me. Look at what I did. I told you that if you liked your doctor, you can keep your doctor. And I got you on a medical program that's named after me. So what? Hey, Michelle. Well, hey, put your pants back on. There's reporters here. We don't want them to see that. Huh? Anyway, I want a party. That's all about me. Oh no, there's coronavirus out there? Oh, what? Oh, no, there's backlash here. I can't do this. Due to the new spread... Okay, that is the New York Times reporting. That's Hannah Hankins. I was about to do that in Obama voice, too. Due to the new spread of the Delta variant over the past week, the President and Mrs. Obama have decided to significantly scale back The event to include only family and close friends, Obama spokeswoman Hannah Hankins said in a statement Wednesday morning. The New York Times, a former newspaper, reported. He's appreciative of others sending their birthday wishes from afar and looks forward to seeing people soon, she added. Obama's decision follows a report by the Post, which cited a source saying the former president was creating a public health nightmare by trying to get nearly 700 people to his party amid a national surge of the variant and new restrictions. And we're going to see in just a second, too, another article talking about this because, they went back out and tried to say, oh, well, Sturgis is going to go ahead and it's going to be a super spreader event. It's going to kill everybody and it's going to kill Grandma. And then Lollapalooza happened. As my wonderful co-host for the Red Net Show, who is on hiatus right now, pointed out in this tweet, don't let anyone tell you it's okay for 385,000 people to go to an outdoor event in Chicago and then force small businesses to close 2 weeks later because of the Delta variant. With this image, Lollapalooza had more than 385,000 people, officials announced after Lightfoot defended holding the fest during the pandemic. Well, see, Lightfoot just wanted money. She wanted money coming into Chicago, people going in and shopping, not only buying the tickets for Lollapalooza and paying the sales tax in Chicago for that, but also going to the McDonald's, the Burger King, the vendors that are in the park, visiting some of the hotels, the local businesses. She wanted that income. She wanted that sweet, sweet, sweet tax revenue because the tourism industry in Chicago has gone straight to fucking shit. From ABC 7 Eyewitness, Lollapalooza cleanup begins in Grant Park. From Diane Pathiu. Lollapalooza has wrapped up and cleanup is underway as Mayor Lori Lightfoot defends the event and the COVID-19 protocols that were in place. The big question remains, with 100,000 people here a day, will the 4-day festival lead to another city shutdown? Well, see, that actually might be one of the better things that could come out of this. Let's just put a wall around the place, too. Monday morning, crews are clearing away the trash at Grant Park, but the real concern isn't what was left behind, it's what could lie ahead. For 4 days, huge crowds flooded Lollapalooza, raising concerns that the music festival could turn into a super spreader. It started on Thursday. The next couple days, you could potentially see cases. I think by next weekend, we're going to be having a good idea about how much transmission occurred because of Lollapalooza. Dr. Robert Citronberg with Advocate Aurora Health. On Sunday, Mayor Lightfoot noted that millions of people had already attended events since the city fully reopened in June, including Cubs and Sox games and smaller festivals. We've been able to open, but do it with care because of vaccination, she said. I do feel very good about what we've done. Obviously, we'll know a little bit more about in a week to 10 days, but science is back, baby. But we have to keep pushing the fact that the unvaccinated people that are at risk. I mean, did you check vaccine passports? Did you make sure that everybody there was fully vaccinated? And how did you make sure of that, by the way? Right now, Chicago is reporting an average of 206 new cases of COVID per day, and most of those hospitalized are not vaccinated. Despite the uptick, Chicago Department of Public Health Commissioner Dr. Allison Arwady said there are no current plans to shut the city down again. Give it time. We have no goal or current plans to close down Chicago again, but we need people, please, once again, to step up, Dr. Arwady said. We've made it through this pandemic well so far, especially when you compare what happened right at the beginning to after we were able to get a lot of these mitigations in place. The popular music festival quickly made last-minute changes to admission requirements as Chicago COVID cases continue to rise, and as health officials aim to once again slow the spread of the virus amid the contagious Delta variant. So, yes, we will definitely see, and like Elaine said, don't let people who tell you that you need to shut your business down, don't let them tell you that anymore, because, hey, they let this happen. And we almost got the Obama super spreader birthday bash, too. All right, another one from a Chicago local station here. Dr. Arwady went undercover at Lollapalooza. Here's what she says she saw. As a person who's been to Lollapalooza, she saw a bunch of people making out A lot of people shirtless, people mud wrestling, people in close contacts with each other, a mosh pit, and people who were stoned, high, and drunk as fucking shit, not generally caring about who was vaccinated and who wasn't. She probably saw a lot of fucking in the crowds, too. This is no author given. Chicago's top doctor said she went undercover at Lollapalooza last weekend to see how the festival was enforcing COVID-19 precautions and administering vaccines. It wasn't. I actually went through the gates multiple times, not known, Chicago Department of Public Health Commissioner Dr. Allison Arwady said. Like, I put a hat on, I put glasses on, I put a mask on. I put a big fake Groucho Marx nose on. And Groucho Marx glasses. Arwady explained she disguised her appearance because she wanted to go through the line similar to any concert goer and experience how the staff checked vaccination proof. Okay, even those of you who are Chicago-based, which I know Chilaga is Chicago adjacent, even those of you who are Chicago-based, do you know who Allison Arwady is? Because in a crowd, I wouldn't be able to tell her from fucking Adam. Arwady explained that she disguised... I read that one already. Rather than bring the official COVID vaccination card issued by the CDC, Arwady said she brought out a printout form from iCare, which was an accepted document. I was really pleased, Arwady said. These people didn't know who I was. No shit. I was in the middle of a big crowd of other kids coming in. They stopped. They looked. As she walked through the check-in gate, Arwady noted the security looked through her document and checked to make sure she had 2 COVID vaccine shots and from which dates. We saw a lot of people getting turned away, and if they didn't come with anything, Arwady said, but also the dates weren't good. A vaccine ambassador for Chicago were on site, Arwady added, who provided information and signed people up for at-home appointments. These city workers tracked data along with Lollapalooza and found that 90% of attendees showed proof of vaccination. Yeah, I don't believe that, you see. I don't believe that at all. No, I'd be willing to go out on a limb and say 80%, but 90% that for 385,000 people, that is a stretch. But hey, who am I to argue with the honorable and venerable Allison Arwady, who we could all know going down the street, and she had to disguise herself to make sure she could get into Lollapalooza several times unknown. But that's what we have for that. Let's talk. This would have, under any other circumstance, probably been top story. But because of the Cuomo bullshit and the de Blasio bullshit and Lollapalooza bullshit and the infrastructure bill bullshit, we had to relegate this to the back half of the show, almost to the end. Police officer killed in violence outside Pentagon building, from Politico. From Lara Seligman. A police officer died following a violent episode outside the Pentagon on Tuesday, according to a Department of Defense spokesperson. The officer was a member of the Pentagon Force Protection Agency. How many federal fucking cops are there, seriously? The department confirmed on Tuesday night. And why do you need a separate police force for the Pentagon? The Pentagon is the military. Just have the MPs do it. I extend my deepest sympathies for the family, loved ones, and colleagues of the Pentagon Force Protection Officer who died as a result of injuries he received this morning, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said in a statement, noting that an investigation remains underway. Austin has ordered the flags flown at the Pentagon reservation to half-staff in honor of the officer's death. Few details about the episode were available on Tuesday, after the Pentagon was placed on lockdown following what spokesman Lieutenant Colonel Uriah Orland called a shooting event near the Metro bus platform outside the building. The lockdown was lifted roughly an hour and a half later after the Pentagon police secured the scene. The Pentagon would not confirm the officer had been killed until many hours after the episode, despite multiple reports and apparent confirmation by several lawmakers, including Mark Warner, who put out statements offering their condolences. Pentagon Police Chief Woodrow Cussy told reporters in a new briefing that a police officer was attacked on the Pentagon Metro bus platform at around 10:37 Tuesday morning. Gunfire was exchanged and there were several casualties, he said. Cussy stressed there was no continuing threat to the community and said the FBI was on scene leading the investigation. Oh, there's a comforting thought. The incident is over. The scene is secure, Cussy said. The Pentagon and the Pentagon Reservation are safe and secure. Who wants to bet that the FBI recruited this guy to come out and start causing violence around the Pentagon? Hey, I know you think the CIA is listening in on you. Hey, why don't we come out here? Like 4 FBI agents are in here in a 5-person coup to go against the Pentagon. Hey, no, you know what would be crazy? Hey, if you went and shot up the Pentagon, dude. Cussy declined to provide details about the status of the suspect or answer questions about the reports of an officer's death. He denied earlier reports that the suspect was on the run in Maryland, noting that no search was underway. We're not actively looking for another suspect at this time, he said, because they're too busy looking for the other suspect in the Las Vegas shooting. Oops, did I say that out loud on mainstream tech? So, no details. Looks like this actually happened. It didn't happen in the Pentagon, but they locked the Pentagon down briefly. It happened in the bus station. The police officer died. They had the suspect in custody, and that's it. All right. From Know Nothing over on Twitter, in his debate with Bush, Charlie Kirk calls the notion that America was founded on slavery heretical and claims that the Founding Fathers were not in favor of slavery. Let's listen.
And Nicole Hannah-Jones in particular, right, the author of the 1619 Project, she heretically says that America was founded on slavery, right? And so
I'd be okay with that.
But it's just not true.
It depends on what you mean by founded on.
She defines this. She says the Founding Fathers were in favor of it. Not true. George Washington wasn't. John Adams wasn't. John Quincy Adams wasn't. Thomas Jefferson even signed a moratorium of new slaves coming into the United States. Ben Franklin chaired an anti-slavery convention in 1775. None of these guys were writing expositionally how wonderful slavery was. And Nicole Hannah-Jones in particular.
Okay, so I have not watched the Charlie Kirk debate. I'm probably going to. As much as I can't stand Tim Pool, I'm probably going to listen back to it, just for posterity's sake. I wanted to go see the Crowder one too, but I haven't seen that one either. I watched the Anomaly debate. That was a good one, the one with Styx. I'm probably going to go check this, but I can save the rest of you an hour before I even watch this. I can tell you what this is. Charlie Kirk is going to speak scripted talking points that were fed to him by PragerU and praise and worship at the altar of Trump. Bush is going to read scripted talking points that were provided to him via Vox and Vice, and the whole time not actually be paying attention to the debate because he's thinking, little kids, how many little kids can the government provide me under communism? Yum. And Tim Pool is going to sit here moderating, pretending that he's not getting massive Vice money for putting this debate on. He's actually going to sit here and pretend that he is an independent content creator. There, I just saved you an hour of debate of people that you can't stand. All right. From Insider, we talked about this yesterday. And I've looked through this, I've looked over this, and I don't know why I'm supposed to care, but apparently it was trending enough on Twitter that I was supposed to care. Tucker Carlson has moved his show to Hungary for the week, where he met controversial PM Viktor Orban and is scheduled to speak at a far-right conference. From Matthew Lowe. The Fox News host Tucker Carlson on Monday evening announced he would be broadcasting his show, Tucker Carlson Tonight, this week from Budapest as he visits the Hungarian capital and meets with the country's populist Prime Minister, Viktor Orban. Carlson is also billed to speak Saturday at a far-right conference in Budapest called MCC Fest, according to his website, in a program titled The World According to Tucker Carlson. His announcement was made just after he met with Orban, the Hungarian leader, who on Monday posted a Facebook photo of the pair smiling while seemingly in conversation. Carlson previously commended Orban for his policies, rewarding Hungarian families for having more children to address a declining birth rate in the country. Hungary's leaders actually care about making sure their own people thrive, he said on a show in 2019. Instead of promising the nation's wealth to every illegal immigrant from the third world, they're using tax dollars to uplift their own people. Also in 2019, Orban's government paid $265,000 to Washington, D.C. lobbying firm to coordinate an interview with the Carlson show, according to Anna Masaglia, an investigative researcher for the government transparency watchdog Open Secrets. So, I don't know why I'm supposed to care. Apparently this is big news. This is massive news. Because it's a far-right group that he's going to speak in front of. I don't care. I really don't. Tucker Carlson is a bitch. And I'll say that right off the bat. I mean, he's my competition, first and foremost, but he's my competition that he's holding all the keys. He's standing and guarding every fucking door. He's got millions of dollars being poured into his advertising budget, and I have you guys. And I like you guys better than $1 million advertising budget. Because you'll go out and tell your friends, not just come out and plaster advertisements all over every fucking billboard out there. It's a real grassroots thing. I don't like Tucker Carlson. I never have. But regardless, apparently I'm supposed to care about this. I don't. All right. And the last one here, I caught this right this morning before we went live. NPR announces journalists will now be allowed to openly engage in political activism, from Ben Johnson. We read 2 NPR articles today. They already fucking do that. They've been doing that for a long time, you guys. And every time I come in here, and that's the reason I say that this is National Progressive Radio, hit that donate button because we need your money to spread our communist ideals. We are already engaged in activism. It's just being blessed by our creators now instead of just us doing it and our creators saying, no, 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 stop, no. Now we're actively doing it here on NPR. Give us that money because your tax money is not enough to keep us afloat and spread those wonderful communist ideas. Taxpayers are raising renewed calls to defund NPR after the public broadcaster announced that journalists can now openly advocate for a litany of hot-button political topics, which they already do. Last month, National Public Radio loosened its ethics policy, which long prevented correspondents from taking public position on controversial or polarizing issues, which they already do, or participating in politically themed demonstrations, which they already do, NPR public editor Kelly McBride announced on July 29th. Is it okay to march in a demonstration and say Black Lives Matter? What about a gay pride parade? In theory, the answer is yes, wrote McBride. NPR's newly adopted position conflicts with Society of Professional Journalists' Code of Ethics, which holds that reporters should avoid political and other outside activities that may compromise integrity or impartiality or may damage credibility, in spite of the fact that there is absolutely zero fucking impartiality at National Progressive Radio. I know, we read them almost every single day on this channel. Excuse me. NPR's new open bias policy will bolster many of its journalists. For instance, NPR's Mara Liasson compared Antifa rioters to U.S. veterans storming Omaha Beach on D-Day, but the flexibility it allows bosses to determine appropriate activism could muzzle center-right NPR employees. They're already muzzled, dude. Theoretically, letting NPR journalists advocate for the dignity of human beings means that it could take part in the annual March for Life or proclaim the personhood of an unborn children on social media, which nobody who works at NPR is going to do. I don't know if you read NPR, the people who are making these statements. I know that the Daily Wire does. I know that we do. You are the most informed audience on the internet. we read from NPR, but I don't think Washington, Florida, I don't think the people who are making these statements here, they've ever read NPR. They are one of the most slanted and partisan rags it's a shame because it is public radio. You're supposed to be able to pay a small nominal fee and be able to get onto the radio without having to have a license or anything. That's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be public access. And it's not public access. It's National Progressive Radio. It's public access as long as you agree with us. Giving NPR reporters the right to advocate for Americans facing discrimination on the basis of religion means correspondents could express support for Masterpiece Cake owner Jack Phillips, Washington Florist Barronelle Stutzman, and former Kentucky County Clerk Kim Davis. Everybody who writes at NPR would just as soon see all three of those people just mentioned nailed to a fucking cross and put out into the public square for public mockery. So the end of that story is NPR is going to allow their users and their creators to do what they already do. And now they're going to say, oh, the far right might be able to do something about this too. Dude, nobody from the far right is at NPR. I promise you. And once again, we read their articles almost every day. But that's what we see. No, I said slanted, not slant-eyed. Might be wrong. All right, that's it. That's all that we have today. And the last thing we do on Wednesday is something that I am thankful for, which, this is actually going to be a bit of a personal one for me. So I mentioned on Tuesday and on Monday as well, because it was before the fact, that we had the wonderful Remzo Martinez on the Red Ned Show. And on all of those occasions, we also mentioned the fact that I was on... I recorded, it was pre-recorded for On the Run, which will be coming out about the middle of August with Remzo Martinez. Last Friday, late at night on last Friday, Remzo and I sat down and we had a long and very personal and very moving conversation for me. A lot of you guys know that I have struggled with suicide before, and not a lot of you know the reason why, or one of the reasons why, and we talked a bit about that as well. Not a lot of you know what actually... some of the things that happened, because I have not talked about some of the things that I talked with Remzo about for, let's see, what year is this, 2021? 14 years. I haven't talked about some of this stuff since I came back from Mass. It was a deeply emotional episode. One of the big struggles that I had was suicide, and I was actually thankful to get some of that back out there. I had actually intended to tell some of my story on the suicide prevention live stream that we did for 24 hours, but it just, with the sheer number of guests that Elaine was able to pull together for this, I didn't really have a chance. Which was good enough. I didn't want to sit there and sad boy to everybody. I wanted to tell one of my stories for sure, but really, honestly, having a chance to come out here and on a neutral platform, not just one where I'm just meeting you guys, or the ones where I know, because I know most of the audience here at this point. But to be on a fully neutral platform, be able to come out and say some of this stuff that's been on my mind, buried into my mind, but definitely on my mind for well over a decade at this point. I'm thankful for the opportunity. And hopefully maybe you guys will get some new people in the audience to play with and talk to. So I guess On the Run is the We Are Libertarians Network. So it'll be a lot of people who are like-minded to the rest of us here. But yeah, I'm thankful for the opportunity. And thank you, Remzo. You're welcome back on this channel anytime. So reach out to us. Let's talk. Maybe we'll get you on maybe I'll revive Across the Board and we'll get you on there at some point too. So definitely looking forward to that. That was a great time. I'm very happy that happened. That's going to be it. So let's head out of here for the day. Let's throw some music up and let's do this. Is Steven on? Let's go check. Let's check quick before we throw the music up. Twitch.tv. It's always Twitch. He has 0 viewers. Well, let's go change that. And let's throw some music up. So we are going to head out of here for the day. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us. Great crowd today. It's even on the Instagram side with Might Be Wrong, and I see him over in the main chat as well now. So thanks everybody who came by and hung out. If you are on Twitch, stick around because we're going to hit the rating party and we're going to go and see my friend Stephen Ignoramus. So stick around. Otherwise, come back here tomorrow for more contemporary. I'm sure we're going to be talking about the McCloskeys and more of the eviction moratorium stuff and just a whole litany of other crap as well. And hey, by tomorrow I might actually have something to say on the Charlie Kirk debate. I doubt it because I'm pretty sure I know what this is going to be, but I'll give it a chance. I'll give it a listen because then you guys don't have to. So we will see you guys for that tomorrow on Contemporary, bright and early. We'll see you then. Until then, I am Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Take care.